Today, we're going to hear the incredible story of a young man from Vietnam whose strange actions made him viral not only in Vietnam, but across the entire internet. One day, he suddenly decided to leave all civilization behind. No city, no electricity, no markets, nothing. In front of him there would only be nature, a huge raft, and the skill of his own two hands. His goal was simple yet unbelievable: to build a completely self-sustaining floating island in the middle of the water using only his own hands. As impossible as it sounds, this dream pulled him deep into the dense rainforests of Vietnam, to a hidden and isolated lake surrounded by jungle, strange silence, and unknown dangers. Here, the hardest test of his life was about to begin. But one thing quickly became clear: this man wasn't just building a house. He was building his own future with his own hands. In a place with no comfort, no tools, and no preparation, he used his skills and creativity to create a completely new life from nothing. And honestly, the modern world works the same way. The people who learn new skills and think differently are the ones most prepared for the future. The first task was creating a floating foundation. After searching around, he discovered that bamboo was the perfect material: strong, lightweight, and naturally able to float on water. So he began cutting bamboo one after another, tying them together to build a massive raft. But where would he get rope? Once again, nature provided the answer. He stripped strong fibers from the bamboo itself and twisted them into durable ropes. Using those handmade ropes, he tightly secured the bamboo together, slowly forming a solid floating base. Next came the wooden structure for the house. But there was another problem: he had no iron nails. Instead, he used an ancient building technique. He carved small holes into pieces of wood and locked them together using wooden joints. Surprisingly, the strong wooden frame stood firmly without a single nail. Then he started building the roof. Thin bamboo strips were layered like tiles so rainwater could easily slide off. Within days, a small but sturdy house appeared floating in the middle of the lake. But a house alone wasn't enough to survive. He needed food. At first, he caught shellfish and small fish by hand from the water. The area where he originally started working was rocky and steep, making construction difficult. So he moved with his dog to another location with a flat sandy shore. There, he began creating a floating garden directly on the raft. He carried rich black soil and decayed leaves from the jungle to create small farming beds. In them, he planted chili peppers, vegetables, and even a banana tree. Slowly, a tiny green world began growing above the water. But he didn't stop there. In the center of the raft, he created a small fish pond where he planned to raise fish. He also built a special fish trap, and one day it successfully caught a giant catfish. Living in one place on the lake wasn't practical, so he designed a small pedal-powered boat. Using his feet to paddle, he could travel quickly across the lake to gather more bamboo and wood. Soon, an even bigger idea came to his mind: growing rice on water. Using bamboo, he built a large floating platform. Banana leaves were layered to hold water, and then he mixed soil, rotting leaves, and wood ash to create fertile farmland. Into that floating field, he planted rice seeds. As time passed, his floating world continued to grow larger. One day, while walking through the jungle, he noticed a clean path. He realized wild animals were probably using it regularly, so he set a trap nearby. After waiting for some time, the trap caught 2 wild chickens. But to him, they were more than food, they were an investment for the future. He brought them back to the raft and built a small coop for them. Meanwhile, his garden needed bees for pollination, so he searched the jungle until he found a wild beehive. Carefully, he captured the queen bee and placed her into a new wooden box. Soon, the entire hive moved into its new home. Now hundreds of bees buzzed around his floating garden, and he gained another precious source of food: honey. Finally, harvest season arrived. He cut the rice he had planted with his own hands, dried it, and separated the grains to make rice. After so long, eating a meal grown entirely by himself became one of the happiest moments of his life. Slowly, his floating island transformed into something like a small village. It had a fish farm, vegetable gardens, rice fields, a chicken coop, and beehives. 1 year earlier, he had arrived completely alone. But now, standing before him was a dream he had built with his own hands. This place was more than just a floating house. It was the result of his patience, hard work, and intelligence. In